Over the past several weeks, I've been reviewing every single Kindle and Kobo out there right now, and there's one common complaint that I keep finding across every single one of these. In this video, I'll be talking about the power buttons on all of these e-readers and why I dislike them so much. Hi there, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Maneetpaul Singh. On this channel, we discuss different tools and techniques available to read books more effectively so we can live a more intentional life. If that sounds like something you're interested in, consider pressing that subscribe button down below. If you've been watching my videos, you know that both Amazon and Kobo have a different way of thinking when it comes to power buttons. They implement these buttons in such a weird way. Sometimes the location is weird, sometimes the button itself is just not working well, and sometimes the location and the button both just suck. In this video, we're gonna go through every single model and really figure out what's going on. So the first model I want to talk about is the Kindle Basic over here, and the power button on this device is at the bottom of the device, and the button itself is actually very nice. It has a very clicky feel to it, but the fact that it's at the bottom of the device just makes no sense to me. It's a really weird placement. Normally power buttons are on the top side or the very top. This one's at the very bottom, but I do like the button a lot, so the only complaint I have about this is just the location of it. Now let's compare the Kindle Basic now to the Kobo equivalent of this, which is the Kobo Nia, and this device has a power button also on the bottom, but the thing that sucks about this device is the button is really hard to press. It's not really a clicky button, it's like a rubber button that you have to push in with your nail a little bit. It's just a really strange power button choice. I really wish it was a protruding button that you could clearly press down like the Kindle has. This button is a really bad button and also a very bad placement in general too. Now let's go back to the Kindle side over here. We have the Kindle Paperwhite up next, and this device is just like the Kindle Basic in terms of power buttons. The only difference now is they have color options. So on my Kindle Paperwhite, I have a blue button, which is pretty fun, I guess. But again, at the bottom of the device, it's still a very nice clicky button, so I appreciate that. Just a really weird location. Let's compare this though to the Kobo Clara HD, which is the next level up in the Kobo lineup. And this device, again, is even weirder, I would say. The button is now bigger than the old Kobo Basic, but it's still hard to press and it's still at the bottom. All they did in this model is make it wider. And it does stick out a little bit more, so it may be easier to find when you rub your thumb over it, but it's still a really weird button choice. I don't know why they don't just use a more protruding button to make it easier to press. With this device, you still have to go out of your way to press it in with your nail a little bit. Now let's stick on the Kobo side for a second and compare the Clara HD to the Libra H2O. The Libra H2O is this weird middle child in all of these devices. There's not really a Kindle equivalent to this device. It's kind of in between the Kindle Paperwhite and the Kindle Oasis, so it's nothing comparable against that. But this power button is very rogue compared to all the other devices on this table right now. The power button is on the back of the device, so it's not on the side, not on the top, not on the bottom. They put it on the back. And I wouldn't really mind that as much if they'd only put it on the other side. So when I'm holding the device, the button's on the side where the page turn buttons are not. So when you want to turn the device off, you have to use your second hand to press the power button. If this button was just simply on the other side, it would make this so much nicer. The button itself is so nice. It's really beautiful, honestly. Pressing it is so much fun. It's a round button. It actually clicks in really nice. It's kind of indented so you could clearly find it. It feels like a proper button. It's probably my favorite button across all these devices. It's just in the worst location, and I find that very frustrating. All right, let's move on to the bigger premium models right now. The next one up is the Kindle Oasis, and this device is my personal favorite. I read on this every single day, and the power button is very premium. It's a metal button, first of all. All the other buttons have been plastic up until now. This is a metal button on the top, on the same side as the page turn buttons, right where it should be. Pressing this button is a very easy thing to do. I can use this whole device with one hand. I wish the Libra H2O was like that, but the metal button is just a nice touch to it. You're paying for a high-end Kindle, so they did put in a high-end button as well. I really appreciate that. The same cannot be said, though, about the Kobo Forma. The Kobo Forma is supposedly the top tier Kobo, but really the power button is worse than all the other Kobos combined. Firstly, they put it on the right side on this edge. It makes no sense why they would put it on the edge. They should be on the top or even the bottom, honestly, or the back like the Libra H2O, but they put it on the side, and that just makes it really awkward to press. You kind of have to let go and then press the button. But secondly, putting the location aside, the button itself is the worst. I have so much trouble pressing this button. You really got to put a bunch of force into it for it to press. When I first bought this thing, I thought it was broken because it wouldn't work the first several times I pressed the button. I love the Kobo Forma, don't get me wrong, it has a nice screen, it's a huge screen, the quality of holding this thing feels so nice, but they just put the worst button possible on this device. It's a real shame. Compared to all the other devices, this device has the worst power button. I know I just spent this whole video ranting about power buttons on all of these devices over here, but really, if you're going to be buying an e-reader, you should know about all these little small details. I'm curious what you think watching this. Do you care about power buttons as much as I do? Am I just going crazy? Leave a comment down below. I have links to all these devices in the description if you're interested in checking them out. Those links will also help support this channel. Thank you in advance if you decide to buy one. Now, if you enjoyed this video, there's a good chance you'll enjoy my Kobo versus Kindle video. If you want to know more about the different ecosystems and the software differences, link for that on the screen right now. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.